Okay, we're moving on to lesson 112. First direction says draw a 12 centimeter line segment. So we're going to go to the centimeter side of our ruler, line up the first measuring mark with a dot, and we're going out to 12 centimeters. The longer line right on 12. And the second one says measure this line segment using centimeters. And that looks like it's right on the 8, doesn't it? That looks like 8 centimeters. Number 1. The children in Ms. Conte's class planted 18 tomato plants and 16 pepper plants. The children in Ms. Mancano's class planted 14 tomato plants and 15 squash plants. How many tomato plants did they plant altogether? Now, always remember, read through and then go back to the question and figure out what information you actually need to have. How many tomato plants, so we're only looking for tomato plants, did they plant all together? And all together is our clue word to add them up, right? So let's go back and see how many tomato plants there were. The children in Ms. C's class planted 18 tomato plants and 16 pepper plants. Well, they're not asking us about pepper plants. We don't need that right now. The children in Ms. M's class planted 14 tomato plants. We do need that. And 15 squash plants. We don't need that. We're not telling about squash right now. So all together means we have to put those together. So the first class had 18, and when we're putting things together, we're adding them up. And the second class had 14. 18 plus 14. 8 and 4 is 12. 2 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And what were we counting? Go back and check how many tomato plants. So 32, and I'm going to shorten it to plants. 32 plants. Number 2, and we're going to talk about the weight of things. About how much might the lunchbox of a child in your classroom weigh? So a typical lunchbox, probably with food in it, right? So would it weigh 200 pounds? That's the size of a grown person. Would it be 2 pounds? That would be like maybe 2 iPads, maybe. 40 pounds, that would be the size of a pretty good sized dog, on the larger end. And 20 pounds, well, that would be the size of maybe like a medium sized dog, maybe on the smaller side. So which one would be closest to a typical lunchbox that you might take on a field trip? Any of these would be very heavy lunchbox, wouldn't it? That 2 pounds right there, that's even a pretty heavy lunchbox, but that would be the closest, I would say. Number 3, draw 8 squares, color half of the squares red. How many squares did you color? I don't have red right now. I think I have orange maybe. We could do that. If you don't have the right color at your house, that's fine too. Just do what you have. Draw 8 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Color half red. Well, since I made 2 equal groups, that's a little easier. If you didn't make 2 equal groups, if you put 6 on top and 2 on the bottom, you just need to color until the same number is colored as is not colored. So right now I can easily see that half is 4 because that's the same number colored as there are not colored. How many squares did you color? 4. That means 4 is half of 8. Find the answers. Okay. I see all 3 of these are subtraction. Biggest rule in subtraction, bigger bottom, gotta borrow, right? So if the number on the bottom is bigger than the number on top, we have to go to our neighbor and borrow. 9 take away 4, we can do that. That's 5, whoops. 7 take away 3 is 4. And a cent sign because we were subtracting cents. Next one, 6 take away 8. Cannot do it. It's a bigger number on the bottom. We have to go to the neighbor and borrow 1 and give 1 to that neighbor. 16 take away 8. We can do that now. And 4 take away 1. Bigger bottom, gotta borrow. Borrow 1 from the neighbor. Now we have 10 take away 7. And 7 take away 2. All right, we're going to collect some data. It says the children in Miss M's class counted 11 blue cars, 8 red cars, and 4 gray cars in the parking lot. So I'm going to go back and highlight those. 11 blue, 8 red, 4 gray. Shade the graph to show the colors of the cars. Now don't forget, they might have put it in a different order here than they do here. So just pay attention to which one goes where. And then we're going to answer a question about it. So let's go in and fill in our chart. Now, you noticed when I read this name, kind of like when I read the one on top, names can be pronounced any different way, and they don't necessarily follow the rules of English. So don't get stuck on a name. If you know it's a name, like it's uppercase and maybe it starts with a Mrs. or Mr., or you just know it's a name from the sentence, you can just use the first letter and that's fine, because it's probably not giving you good information to decode a name. So you can decode it if you want, or you can say Mrs. M. The children in Mrs. M's class counted 11 blue cars. So let's go to the blue and we're gonna go all the way. I like to check where 11 is first. 11's halfway between 10 and 12, right? They're counting by 2s on here. Halfway between 10 and 12. So blue is going to go out to that line. 8 red cars. 8 red cars. There's an 8 line right there. So red is going to go to that line. And 4 gray cars. 4 gray cars. There it is. The question is, how many more blue cars than gray cars did they count? So how many more is my clue to subtract? How many more blue? Well, blue had 11. Then gray. Gray had 4. I'm going to subtract because that's what how many more tells me to do. Find the difference. And the answer is 7. All right, find the answers. Now, pay attention to the signs. They're going to switch it up a little bit on us. First one is 2 times 10, 2 groups of 10. 10 and 10 is 20. 8 groups of 100. So we can count by hundreds, or we can move those 2 zeros behind the 8 and do 800. 7 times 5. I don't know if you can count by 7s, but I know you can count by 5, so let's do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 45. And 5 times 1 is 1 group of 5. Now, when they give me a really large addition problem where it's just single digits, I always want to find groups of 10. So the quicker you can learn to find groups of 10 and adding, the easier adding will be. So first one I recognize is 8 plus 2. Second one I see is 9 plus 1. A third one I see is 7 plus 3. And it looks like that is our leftover. That's the only one. So I found 1, 2, 3 groups of 10s. That's 30, right? 30. And how many ones were left? Just 2. 32. Last one. Adding again, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 4 more is 12. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 4 is 8, and 1 more is 9. 92. All right. Get out and get some sunshine after you're done with this, guys. Talk to you soon.